up, babe? Welcome back to Let's Work the Day with Tony Ray. If this is your very first time, my name is Tony. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today. So in today's video, I am going to do two sides of makeup. I am going to do one side as a single layer of makeup and the other side as my regular normal application. So I just want to be able to show the difference, especially if you're a beginner to makeup, the differences between doing one single layer versus doing multiple layers of application. So I'll point out some of the differences that you can see in the two faces. All right, so let's just go ahead and push this hair back. Probably could use a clip, but you know, we're just gonna go ahead and push it back. Let's start with the brows. So with my brows, I'm just gonna go ahead and brush them up with a little bit of brow gel, and literally that's it. As you can see, I keep my brows very thick. I don't like thin brows. I used to wear my eyebrows extremely thin, and then I started letting them grow out. And the reason being is because I don't like doing my brows. Like, I literally just want to throw on a little bit of color, maybe fill them in a little bit, put some concealer, and I want to be done with the brows. To fill in my brows today, I'm going to use my Precisely My Brow Pencil, and we're just going to add a little bit of color. Again, I don't do much at all. I'm not even extending the ends of my brows down. I'm just going in with a little bit of color to add just a little bit more shade to my brow. What I am going to do though is I'm going to make small strokes upward right there in the corner, just so I can get that faded gradient look once I put that concealer on. So I'm going in with this is my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. This is in the color Walnut. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and just clean up the brows. Like I said, I'm not doing like a really hard line or like super sculpted definition. I'm just going to put a little bit, kind of make my little line that I want, and then go ahead and sculpt that out. Brows are done. Like I said, super quick, super easy. I do not like fooling around on the brows. They do not have, I don't like fooling around on the brows. I like to be quick. I'm going to go ahead and take some concealer and just do a little bit of concealer on my eye and get that out of the way. So I'm going to use my Born This Way. You guys have seen me use this before. This is one of my favorite concealers, but I'm just going to go ahead and put that on the eye. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do a color, but we'll see. I might, or I might just keep it simple with my bronzer, because quite honestly, I like doing just more simple makeup. Like, an everyday look is pretty much my everyday face, no matter whether I'm going like out to eat or just, I don't know, I just like nudes. Like, I love nude colors. I just feel like they look timeless, they're classy, and that's just my go-to. And I'm also using my beauty blender to blend out that concealer on top of my eye as well. Just an FYI, you do want to have a couple of different sponges depending on how many colors and transitions and things that you're doing. You always want to have a couple of different sponges, one in particular for your concealer, one for maybe your foundation or blending. You want to have another sponge for your powder. So just FYI, if you're a beginner, you definitely want to have a couple of different sponges on hand. I have my concealer on my eyes. I have my brows shaded in. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start with my primer. So I am using my NARS Radiant Primer, and I'm going to go ahead and apply this all over my face. So this is what we're going to do. On my right side, which I know that's probably left for you watching, but on my right side, I'm going to do the single layer. And then on my left side, I'm going to do the total buildable face like we normally do. Do y'all see like the shine that this primer gives? I love it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my single layer first. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to get all of my products on, spray it, and then we're going to go ahead and start with the foundation on the other side. Let's do the soft matte today for the foundation. And then I need my concealer, which I'm going to do part 2 application. So I'm going to do my, what is this? Forgot what I was saying. My Born This Way on the inner part of my eye, and then I'm going to use my Maybelline Fit Me on the outer part. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. We're gonna use the Maybelline Fit Me, and then I'm gonna also use my Chestnut, which is my Radiant Creamy Concealer by NARS. And so let's go ahead and start with that on the inner corner of the eye. As you can see with single layer, I'm not going in with foundation under the eye like I normally would, right? So when we think single layer, we are just doing one application of makeup. So with the concealer and doing that under our eyes, we're not going to use a foundation under that. So there's my concealer. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my blush, and then put my bronzer, and then put my foundation on the very bottom half. So we're going to see how much product we really need to be using. So I'm going to take my blush. My nails are kind of long, so I have to use my knuckle. Let's go. That might be too much, but it's cool. So I'm going to take my knuckle, since I couldn't get my finger in here. There we go. I'm going to take my finger and put that blush in place. And then I'm going to go in with my bronzer next, which I'm using my, if I can find it, my NARS Laguna Bronzer. I'm going to use that, and I'm just going to take another finger. Doesn't really have to be a brush. I'm going to put that right under my blush, and then around the upper part of my perimeter here. Because remember, we're going to blend all that down. I'm going to put some on my jawline. Now I'm going to put on my foundation, which is going to be my NARS Soft Matte, and this is in the color Caracas. So I'm going to take that and take probably another finger, if I'm being honest. So take my finger and put that right in this area right here as far as my foundation. So right there, and then kind of like right here in the middle area, and then right here on my forehead. So as you can see, and I'm actually going to do a little bit more blush. Let's do a little more blush because I feel like I wiped some of it off. There is my one layer of makeup on my right side. Okay, so I have my bronzer down here, right on my cheek and around my forehead. I have my foundation only in this spot, and right here in between my blush, my bronzer, I have my foundation right there, and then I have my concealer right under my eye in two different shades. So I have a lighter shade, and then I have a warmer shade. So since I've gotten all of that on that side, now I'm going to start with doing my concealer, excuse me, my foundation on my left side. I'm going to spray my face so that it doesn't dry up, because I don't want to blend this out just yet. I'm going to wait until I have my concealer blended out on this side so we can really tell the difference. So let me hit it with a little bit of spray. And that's just one tip anyway that you want to have, is if you are doing a single layer of makeup, you do want to spray your face just to make sure everything stays nice and wet, because if it's wet, that means you can still move it around, okay? So now I'm going to do the same thing with my concealer. Go in with that lighter, I was about to use the wrong one. Go in with that lighter chestnut, and then go in with the Maybelline Fit Me on the wing part of that. I'm gonna have to tie up my middle area, that way you guys can see. I don't want to be looking crazy, but let's throw a little bit right there, because we're gonna blend all of that out anyway. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do my nose contour, that way you guys can really see which half is which. I'm gonna go ahead and blend out this side, and then I will blend out everything on this side, okay? I have my concealer blended out on my left side, my buildable side. So now I'm gonna go ahead and spray my face one more time on my single layer, and I'm gonna blend all of that out. Immediately what I can tell you is that this right side of my face, the single layer of makeup, it is super lightweight. I don't have products caked up on top of each other. It looks very seamless. It looks very blended. I didn't have any trouble moving the product around when I sprayed my face. So far, I am loving the single layer. I just feel like it looks a lot more natural to not have to cover the whole entire face with foundation and just put it in the areas that I need. So one thing that I am going to do is I'm going to go back in just with a little bit of concealer in the corner, and I'm going to let this side set with concealer just so I can go ahead and get some of my other products on that side. And then I want to be able to tell the difference between the setting powder under my eye with one layer, or basically no foundation under this side since it's one single layer, versus the side that does have the foundation. On this side of my face, I'm going to go ahead back in with my bronzer and do my bronzer and my blush. And I'm just going to do that on the same areas. So now, same thing, I'm going to go ahead and put a tiny bit more concealer on this side, and I'm going to let this set. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish out powder on my single layer side now that I've had my concealer sitting in the corner for just a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my skin tone powder, which I use Fenty's Pro Filter Hazelnut color. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend just a little bit there on the side of my face to make sure everything is like nice and blended. My single layer side is done outside of just resetting with some spray. But I am going to go ahead and do just a little bit of powdered blush. I have my cream on, but I also want to go right back on the top and just do a nice little layer of my blush palette. And I am using the Blushed Rose by Juvia's Place. And I'm just taking a little bit to go ahead and throw on top of the blush that I already have. And then on the eyes, I'm just taking my Fenty bronzer. This is the Stalk'r bronzer. And this is in Caramel Cutie. And I'm just taking this to go ahead and put all over my eyelid. I'm not doing any kind of eyeshadow. I'm just taking that to put all over my lid. Just give a little bit of color back into my eyes. Okay, so this side is now done. Now, same thing, I'm going to go back to my buildable layer side, and I'm going to go ahead and blend out my concealer and do the same thing. Put my powder, my setting powder under my eye, and then do my skin tone powder on the rest of my face. And then we will come back and see if there's a difference. So the question comes down to single layer or buildable face. If I'm being completely honest, I feel like one is going to come down to the products, and two is going to come down to what kind of look you're trying to do. Because had we not discussed at the beginning of this video that this was a single layer face and this was a buildable face, I honestly don't believe that you would be able to tell the difference. Now, there are a couple of things that benefit the single layer face, and one is that you will not use as much product. So your product consumption is not going to be as high, especially on foundation, if you choose to do the single layer face. Another benefit to that is, say it's summertime, it's hot, a lot of us are doing the tinted moisturizers instead of foundations. So a way to be able to save money and not have to go out and buy a tinted moisturizer unless you absolutely want to is to choose to do the single layer face, because you're only going to be using a minimal amount of foundation instead of covering your entire face in foundation. So like I said, you're going to use less product if you choose to do this way, and you're also going to end up saving money in the long run because you're not using as much product. I also feel like The single layer is giving definitely more everyday face, or like I used to do commercial work. So this is giving me more commercial type look as far as on camera face. This side is definitely pretty much the same, but if you were in person right now, the only difference I would say is I feel like my eyes covered a little bit better on the buildable side than they did on the single layer side. So it's also going to come down to personal preference. If you like more of just an everyday look or just a very basic face, especially like if you're going in the office or just something to put on, the single layer works very well. Now, if you're wanting, you know, more of a face for like a statement outfit, or you're taking pictures, or you're going out on a date, you would probably opt for doing the buildable face, only because you want to make sure that all of your creases are completely gone. You want to do maybe some brighter shadow. You want to contour the face a little bit. Like I just add bronzer on my face to just give a little bit of color definition. It's not a contour at all, but those are specific reasons why you would want to choose to do a buildable face. But overall, you really can't tell the difference. And again, this was a very softer look, so we might have to try this look again with maybe a more full coverage look just to really be able to tell. But for right now, I would say, like, again, if you want to save money, if you want to save on product consumption, then I would definitely opt for the single layer face. It is a everyday face. It's a face that's really great for the summertime. Or if you know, personal preference, you want more of your fine lines to be covered up, and you just want I can't even necessarily say a smoother finish, because both looks give a smooth finish, but it really comes down to personal preference. Single layer, you can just throw everything on your face, blend it out, and you out the door. Like, you don't have to worry about blending layer. You can probably end up saving on brushes and sponges that way as well. So yeah, these are the natural vibes for today on the single layer versus the buildable face. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below, and also make sure that you are hitting that notification bell as well, so you guys can see when the videos is going up on the channel. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and call it a wrap. It is actually nighttime. I'm trying to use more of my camera lights to see how my lighting is. So y'all let me know. I know the lighting was a little iffy at the beginning, but go ahead and drop in the comments below. I would really appreciate it if you guys were able to see my, skin tone and all of my colors and different shades in my face. I want to make sure that I am producing the best videos that I can for you guys. But I will go ahead and call it a night here, and I really hope to see y'all on the next video. Bye.